Hello everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Screen. Today I'm very excited to be with a wonderfully talented photographer, Allister Foster. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
We are excited to talk to you about a wide range of topics, but one of the things I want to focus on is on-set photography. You have obviously a wide range of photographic experience. When it comes to on-set photography, for those who aren't initiated, can you give us a brief overview of what on-set photography is to you?
Doing set stills is kind of like being able to tell the same story that the motion cameras are telling, but in a still frame. And sometimes that means you're not abiding to the same rules that you might have when you're actually shooting the production narrative for publicity or marketing purposes.
So when it comes to those marketing and publicity services, how in are you on what those marketing campaigns are going to be, or do they sort of build those campaigns out of what you decide to shoot?
I mean, the nature of like the work that we do when we're shooting, you're collaborating on an already like existing production set. So, and the mission that the whole production team has sometimes doesn't necessarily include what you're doing as well. So your job is to kind of weave in and out and find the spaces in between everybody that is doing what they need to do to be able to get the call sheet done. So based on that, usually the back end is sort of created out of what is you're able to get on set. So, and how much access that you do have to space, time, and people.
So I imagine it sounds like a lot of the time it's about using your small windows of opportunity advantageously and accepting that the primary reason everyone's there is obviously for motion and visual. So you're kind of getting in as you can.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fortunate, but like actually it's much easier to think that you go in and you have like zero help. So it's almost like you parachute into set as like a stills photographer, and if you have the expectation that nobody's really there to actually help you out, you're in a better place to start trying to be able to make, opportunity happen for yourself. And sometimes that means that you find friends, you make friends, you have other people that you can collaborate. Maybe the AD team is making sure that they are keeping you in their purview and they're going to help you out. Maybe it means that the cast are very generous and super willing for you to be in there, and you can actually ask a little bit more. For generally speaking, yeah, you're the fly on the wall. You're the invisible ninja.
Is that something that you kind of thrive in and enjoy, or is that still a challenge for you?
Both. I do. I like the idea that you're kind of your own independent lone wolf in a way. It can be like awfully ostracizing because you're not actually part of the team. There's something really special. Like I've been on set for longer than I've been shooting on set, and there's like a lovely feeling of when you're actually part of the show and you're actually getting the day done. You really do feel like you're part of the team. That doesn't always happen when you're the set stills photographer. Not that it can't, but the days that I usually do, I'm just in there and then I'm gone. And I'm not necessarily seeing an entire project through from day one to day, whatever, how many days the shoot is going for.
It's almost like you're like a guest star in a sitcom. You just kind of drop in for like a big hit.
And then you're out. Yeah. And then, I mean, there's benefits, like everything in life, like there's kind of benefits and drawbacks to each of them. I do kind of like that, like I've made a nice little kind of home that feels really great. And, it's not a job that you necessarily get to socialize a lot in, because you are supposed to sort of be like ninja, so that you can actually shoot that and then be able to deliver that, which means speaking up sometimes.
Yeah. And I imagine it's sort of like, as a set photographer that you only get a couple of those while you're there. So I guess it's about picking and choosing those moments, because if you're constantly asking, oh, can I stop this and get in? So it's about just knowing, okay, this is the moment. If I can use it for one moment, this is it.
You can definitely outwear you're welcome, that's for sure. But I mean, I think a lot of it comes down to like just being able to read the room. So, and it's not every day, some days you walk in and one thing it takes a little bit of time to kind of be able to read the room properly. So just because like, production is behind that day in the schedule doesn't necessarily mean that you can't ask, right? So, and I think what generally that I try and do in those situations is just show and prove to everybody that, it's not like a film minute we often joke about is what? It's like an hour, right? It feels like an hour. So if you say that you need a minute, everybody's going to think that that's like a death sentence, right? Because that's like in your head, it feels like it's an hour that is just dead air. So if I say that I just need like literally 5 seconds and I can actually do it in 5 seconds, then usually that sweetens the deal, for the next time that I do need to ask something. They're going to be like, oh, well,
You've earned the trust. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, which I mean, access only comes with trust. And again, the access is like time, space, and people, right? So you need 2 out of 3 at least to be able to have like a pretty successful day.
It's like leads into my next question is what sort of attributes do you think a photographer needs to have or makes them a good fit for being a set photographer?
I mean, I think a couple things. Like, I think what it really is like I often, like, sometimes I'll joke, I'll be like, when people are asking like what are the rules on set or whatever, I'm like, number 1 rule is just don't get yelled at.
Yeah.
That's like, and it kind of all like falls into that, right?
Yeah.
So like everything, it's like you're standing in the wrong place. You're talking when you're not supposed to be talking. Like not that we yell a lot, but like the idea that you don't want to get yelled at on set kind of keeps you honest, and you just start that, which makes you say less, be smaller, take up less space, and all that kind of falls into that. And then after that, honestly, patience, right? Like you just have to be really patient and have a lot of faith, because sometimes you see something unfolding in front of you and you are haunted by like the image that you didn't get. And you just have to have faith that either there'll be another opportunity that will be maybe different or the same, but it'll be just as great.
Don't hold on to that anger or frustration for too long. Yeah.
Because that just will keep you from actually having like another great idea, and have lots of options. Just be ready for the next. Just have like a Rolodex of like opportunities in your head. Like over here would be great, or or whatever. Just constantly turning over ideas and moving through set and just exploring the space and finding frames.
There's a lot of young photographers who would kill for the chance to get on set and shoot stills behind the scenes. What are some advice you'd give to young photographers in 2024 for getting on set and doing photography?
If you are already circling like the film industry in general, like especially if you've been in a long time, it's kind of hard to say exactly what are the steps that kind of got you in. Specifically set stills wise, generally what is almost more important than understanding how to take a good photo is just how set works.
Yeah.
So it almost matters more, especially if you haven't had a lot of on-set experience, it almost matters far more that you actually get some kind of set experience.
So I guess taking on other roles in production and just understanding how the departments work, volunteering.
See if you can find somebody that you can shadow even, or you find a production that is a little bit more open to having people who aren't technically on the sheet join in and kind of just like lurk in the shadows and kind of see how things, get a chance to be able to watch how everybody kind of just does their job, so that you can kind of understand better how you fit into that. Because it's not easy, and every set's very different, and depending on what production level you're working on, the way that it runs is also very different. So it can be very challenging, even if you have like a strong sense of what you're doing as a photographer, to kind of come into that and then figure it out. It's very much like being thrown into the fire.
How many days typically when you jump on a show to do photography does that sort of bring you per show?
I mostly work on MOWs, like movies of the week, and so they run about like 13 to 15 days, and out of that, it's anywhere from 2 to very rarely 6 to 8. So, and I think in one off chance, I was on a 15-day shoot and I did 10 days, which was really, really unusual. But on average, 2 to 3 days.
And how do you kind of personally deal with that? Because there's some people that would be like, okay, it's really nice that I'm not slaving away my whole life, but now I'm worried that I'm, living job to job, and there's some stress and anxiety that can come from that. Like, do you deal with that? And if so, how do you deal with it?
Yeah, man. I live in Vancouver.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you just be grateful for the jobs that you do have when you get them, and I think it's easy to lament over work that you think you are maybe going to get, or that you could get, or that you might have been bidding for, but be grateful for all the jobs that you actually have had or when you do work. It took me, almost like 15 years in the industry before I stopped worrying about why wasn't I working when I had time off, and then why am I not getting any time off
Yeah,
when I'm working.
the grass is always greener.
Like, just flip that script and just enjoy the downtime when you have it and try and make the most out of that time, and then also enjoy when you're working, because both of those things won't be forever.
Yeah. If you had to pick your favorite film photo that you've ever taken and your favorite ever digital photo, what would they be?
Film. Yeah. All right. I would probably, right now, it changes like all the time. Right now, today it would be digital. There's like a really great story of a set still that was like super collaborative. I would have never been able to pull it off like without so many people helping me behind the scenes, from like the ADs to the set deck to like LX, so many people, and it was like a really challenging kind of narrative idea. Like the actual title, the idea of the movie was really challenging, because like the 1 and 2 cast members, number 1 and number 2, their storylines, they actually were never in the same scene ever. So I think it was one of the first stills that I think I really went out on a limb to like really try and produce and orchestrate, and it came together because I got a lot of help, and I was, I think, really grateful for that. So I'd probably pick that. Okay. And film, almost anything in my family. Yeah. Yeah, anything. And like I almost try and shoot exclusively like film when I'm like off the clock.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. I was gonna ask something like that.
Probably camping, and not because it like slows me down, but just because I don't know, there's still something about it that like I'm old enough that I shot film. Like I still like cut film when I was in film school in like my last year, and
camping is just an activity that like perfectly lends itself to film. It's hard to say why, but it just does.
I think it's just where you are, and I don't know, it's the idea that you're on vacation, and hopefully it's not like a hard camping trip, but like there's something about also like when you're camping in the summer and twilight hits, and it just feels like that blue hour is like 3 hours long, and you don't have anything to worry about, and I'm just there.
No service, no
nothing. I mean, we don't backcountry camp with the kids, so, but like, yeah, there's just something really wonderful about them just being able to like wander down a path and explore and discover and stare out at the ocean.
I love that. Yeah. Well, I want to sincerely thank you for your time today. I really enjoyed our conversation. I think our viewers will learn so much just from listening to you. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Beyond the Screen. If you want to take a look at Allister's work, where can people find your work?
I'm on Instagram at allister.foster, ALLISTER.foster, and my website is myfullname.com.
Right on. Thank you so much for watching again. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you on the next one.